Well, time for another video, and continuing on in the Halloween season, why don't we get to something more fittingly spooky? Let's take a break from animated shows and movies and go to a horror game all about animation and fulfill a promise I made last year. Last Halloween I ended the season covering Bendy and the Ink Machine, the iconic mascot horror that was one of the icons of the breakthrough indie horror genre that was huge around the time. Iconic by its incredibly unique art style and aesthetic, literally made to go into the idea of what it would be like to walk into a sketch, creating a world of a horrific 30s animation studio gone to hell with the evil ink that turned the employees into monstrous cartoon abominations. Especially the mascot becoming an actual unkillable demon, with the main character and co-creator Henry Stein being the one to traverse it and find a way out, able to stop the damn machine. And it's so completely drenched in its aesthetic and creativity that it makes possibly the most atmospheric and artistic mascot horror game out there. And that's the biggest thing that got me to fall in love with it. As an artist, it's so incredible to walk through this messed up cartoon world and get so engrossed in the world it creates. Especially with so much of the BioShock influence, which is one of my favorite games. Hell, this game was more BioShock than the actual last BioShock game we got. And because of it, it became the only actual horror game franchise I've ever legitimately gotten into. I'll admit I'm frankly terrible with horror games and I don't know why. I can easily play games with horror elements, even some with gruesome aspects like Fallout, or as I said, BioShock. I can play literally with no problem. But survival horror, I'm a complete mess with, and often just terrifies me to the point where I can't play. I get catatonic. But Bendy's great world and aesthetic, and just the pure fascination I've had, has made it the only survival horror game I've actually gone into and wanted to play myself. And I featured it in my last Halloween video, going into the full game and giving my thoughts on it and defending it from the criticism it has, and express why I love it and what I got from its message at the end. Please watch the video like real, it's gonna give you a lot more context for this. Now, the game does get its fair share of criticism, some I understand completely, I won't pretend the game is a masterpiece, and does have its problems, but a lot I find stupid and is arbitrarily blamed. Like the whole thing with people like FNAF fans blaming this game for all the problems of mascot horror is so insanely stupid, when this was like the second big popular mascot horror game, as if it was all downhill from there, and ignore what that franchise did to contribute to the stigma. Now, in that video, I actually got some people mad at me for hating FNAF, and what? When I say I hated FNAF, I don't hate FNAF. I just think that the fandom ignores its actual problems and tends to hate on other horror fandoms a lot, blaming them for the same problems or hell getting called out on its own. And honestly, the fact that you guys got so upset when I just mentioned that kind of proved my point. But yeah, I really hate that this game got stuck in this stupid crossfire and people suddenly turned on the genre with things like Poppy's Playtime, and especially Garden Up Ban Ban came out and just made it so utterly corporate, marketable, and forced. And in Ban Ban's case, so utterly low effort, when it used to be like people out of nowhere just really wanted to bring their creative ideas to life. And then people just hated the genre after thinking it became awful. To me personally, that was when Baldi's Basics got popular, but that's just me. Actually, wait, did people like Poppy now? Like, I remember when Chapter 1 and 2 came out, I saw a lot of hate for it being such a corporate mascot horror that commercialized itself the minute it became popular, especially the NFT scandal. But then like Chapter 3 and 4 came out and like a lot of people love it now. Did the game get like legitimately goated? Did the people who hate it still stop giving a shit? I don't care either way, but still. But back on topic, Bendy was an episodic release, but ended on the 5th chapter. It's a confusing ending that I actually got a ton out of. Please watch the video. But it does open the possibility of a sequel. After all, this was a cool ass world the game introduces. It can do so much that wasn't explored in the original. And after a top-down dungeon crawler spin-off Boris in the Dark Survival, and a mobile endless runner that was really fun and should have been continually updated, I loved it, Bendy and Nightmare Run. But that does lead to the actual sequel, and frankly evolution of the game, Bendy and the Dark Revival. A brand new story with a new main character in a brand new, more realistic and gruesome style that seemed to be inventive. Granted, it's a game I feel not many actually know about, at least compared to the legacy of its first game, which I'll get into more in a bit. But yeah, like I promised in the ending of the first Bendy video, this year I want to go into the sequel and see how good it is. Now, unlike the first game, I have never actually played or even seen what happens in Dark Revival, being the experience I wanted to go in blind, but never seemed to have the time and, well, bravery to actually go into it. But in honor of the game and my promise in the first video, I'm gonna finally do it after all these years. This is literally my first time playing. First reaction, first thoughts, and, well, first terror no doubt, all the stuff this game has in store. But again, since I love this franchise, I'm gonna finally give it a look, and hopefully even give it some more attention. So let's get literally drawn in to Bendy and the Dark Revival. Before I start, a bit of a brief history lesson like usual. Now, while Bendy Chapter 1 released in February 2017, it's easy to forget that it was really just a small tech demo, just to make the concept, and never was intended to be the massive hit it became. But it got so much attention that it led to the full development of the indie horror game we all know, as a small team of 2 people grew to a sizable one as the project continued to get more and more advanced and developed. That was kind of amazing to see. But still, I covered that more in the original video. Point being, on October 2018, all 5 chapters were completed and released released, finalizing the entire game as it released on multiple consoles. But then, on April of 2019, the sequel was first announced. But not simply an Ink Machine 2, but a new type of game, with the trailer a few months later. But unfortunately, we all know what happened in 2020 as the pandemic came in and drastically affected the game's development, and delaying its release much more than it would have seemed. And there were quite a few delays announced from it, almost to the point where you think it was Silksong. And literally by 2022, it was kind of hard to expect anything when October 31st of that year, there was finally a final trailer and then official release 15 days later on November 15th. Yes, literally only 15 days before the final trailer and release. That's pretty bad. Yeah, one thing I've learned on this channel, like, you've really got to feed the fans and keep a game's hype up. Like, don't give it like only a month or weeks build up because it's not gonna work. And it really does feel that way because I feel because of the constant delays and dead silence on the development until literally 15 days before the release, it completely killed the marketing and hype for this game when it came out. Practically shadow dropped. It is likely the biggest contributor to why it's so obscure because there was basically no time to build up hype or anticipation, taking literally years before its initial trailers and announcement and only 2 weeks before its sudden final trailer and release. So if you haven't heard this game before, this is probably why. So yeah, it should explain the game's rocky history and development, but still, we eventually got the game as it is now, so let's finally get started. Now I'm gonna play this on easy, one because I gotta get through this game ASAP, and I really haven't played this game before, and besides I'm too scared to play it at any extra difficulty. So to the first chapter, and wow, holy hell would it change. Gotta say again, this game looks gorgeous. It has such a great use of shadow and lighting, and this intro really highlights it, especially compared to how the first game could be. This atmospheric lighting and shading is incredible. But yeah, it's pretty obvious this is a massive change from the original as we aren't in the Toon style, but in the real world. Much like the ending of the first game that was no doubt confusing to many people but me. And I'm probably gonna get disappointed on how this game handles what I figured was the ending, but it's in a new animation studio, Artscape Productions, with our main character Audrey, this young woman working late as an animator at night. Drawing Bendy, weirdly enough, but working the late night shift, she prefers to leave the office alone to get some coffee, allowing us to control her. And after getting everything accustomed to me, took a while, we can explore the real world, and again, I love the atmosphere. The detail in the dark night shading and lighting in the office hallways, again, it feels so much like from BioShock. Even to how you open containers, I seriously love this look. However, the office is already ominous enough, especially with even more callbacks to the first game, if you can finally take the elevator down. Well, until— Jesus Christ, who is this guy? Audrey knows them as their Wilson, the creepy-ass custodian who legitimately looks like the first suspect in the freaking Scooby-Doo episode. That or the old man in Monster House. Anyway, it starts being the creepiest MFer on the planet until the fuse blows out and have to stop in a new floor, as Wilson goes to repair the system. Stopping at what seems to be a small museum on the floor, giving us some exposition, as well as a statue of Joy looking very Andrew Ryan fittingly enough. So as we all know in the first game, Joey, Drew, and Henry Stein worked together to create Bendy the Dancing Demon. But Henry seemed to have left soon after to start a family, while Joy went all in to make an animation empire, creating Joy Drew Studios, making the Walt Disney XP we know, and even replicate some actual photos of the time. Really nice detail, even if they admittedly look a little Gmod. However, as the ending of the game implied, though Joey did make the studio very iconic and successful, eventually the empire he made crumbled, as the studio went bankrupt in him as well. And apparently soon after, Joey died suddenly, and one of his friends, Nathan Arch, made his own studio and bought the rights and assets of the company, creating more cartoons from the IP. Neat. However, it seems they also kept the mini ink machine that Joey had, but Wilson asked for us to restore the exhibits on the pedestals that had gone missing, and this really pushes some buttons to the first game players. However, this time I found it much easier. Mostly. Anyway, we do the thing and pull a lever, which clearly won't lead to any dire consequences. Oh god, now we got flooding. Anyway, Mr. Wilson goes all ominous bad touch, saying stuff we don't understand, and we're returning home, and he'll show us our purpose for dunking us all in the ink, as we come back to the familiar cartoony hellhole of Joey Drew Studios. Come to think of it, it makes me realize it's weird that like this entire hellish dimension, as it's presented, is literally a rundown art studio. Like it's a damn SCP next to the infinite IKEA. But man, look at the studio. Oh, it looks great. I already love the first game for how it looks in its cool stylization of its environment, the cool hand-drawn sketchy textures and blocky shapes, making it look like going inside of a cartoon, but now give it so much more detailed atmospheric lighting, making it more lived in yet ominous. I love it. I really appreciate the graphical upgrade here. It practically justifies the game's existence alone. Audrey wakes up with a change, becoming a new weird inked human. Not quite the cartoons of the world nor the inked horrors, but something mysteriously in between. But still, she wakes up, and as usual, we gotta find a way to get the hell out of here. But we get more advances in the gameplay than the previous version. More intricate searching functions, notes, as well as the audio logs from the first game, and especially a sprinting system, hell yeah! But now I'm terrified of what we're supposed to sprint away from, as well as crouching. But we're really not alone, as Wilson on the announcer says that he's defeated the Ink Demon, somehow, and he's no longer a problem, but demands everyone take us to him. Yeah, no thanks. Doesn't help that there's so many hiding locations. I'm scared, and okay, game, not helping. But okay, we can keep going, and oh Jesus! Luckily it's dead, but we get to see full on the new designs of the butchers, and geez, talk about a graphical upgrade. Look at the new detail in the models and textures, looking so much more realistic and gruesome, made it even more uncanny and horrifying. It's great. Again, this game upgrading the graphics of Bendy is so cool. We've come so far, haven't we? But yeah, take this as a sign of things yet to come. But we eventually come to a hall that feels rather familiar until... Yes, we're back at the Heavenly Toy Room, and oh my god, again, look at it! I already thought the scene in the first game was super lovely and atmospheric, diving full into the Bioshock influence, but the graphical upgrade, oh my god, the atmosphere, the ambience, the music, the mood, just everything is so great! I love it so much, and it's another showcase of the upgraded graphics of the game, making it even more incredible than the first game. I can't get over it, man. Oh well, we can't stay here forever, so let's move in. Oh god! Oh come on, cheap scare. Oh crap, crap, crap. Ah, thank god. Stupid dummy, can't see me in here. Oh no, they got smart! Thankfully, we get saved by Allison. Hey, so nice to see you again. We should get more development in the first game. And man, she looks great. Again, compare the two with the detail, the animation on the model. It's so nice. It feels practically next gen. Granted, she looks very telltale here, but that's not a bad thing. Anyway, as the first actually nice person we've met in the game so far, she gives us a crash course on the studio hellhole and the dangers to avoid, but since we can't join with them. Damn. But of course says most of all,
above everything else, stay away from the Ink Demon.
Oh god, this asshole's back. I thought Wilson got rid of him. Though speaking of which, as we go through the studio trying to get to the higher floors like Allison recommended, we hear an audio log from Wilson that when Arch obtained the assets from Joy Drew Studios, it included the ink machine, which he took and figured out the deeper purpose behind it, raising a lot of questions I still don't quite understand. Plus, more on the Gen Company, the engineers who work with Joey Drew and helped to create and implement the ink machine, seemingly using the studio as a test ground, giving me a ton of Big MT at the Sierra Madre vibes, honestly. But we do get something really interesting. Permanent power-ups. Yeah, you can find these special ink canisters that can permanently boost your stats, but now only health and stamina. It's actually a really cool idea and evolves the game past just survival horror, giving more player customization options and making builds to suit your need. And also feeling very Bioshock, but I'm super down for it. So speaking of, health no longer works like the original, meaning you can only take roughly 6 hits in a short period of time before game over and you need to wait for it to heal. Now you have a dedicated health bar, and it doesn't heal after a few seconds. Now there's an incentive to eat food all around the studio to heal. There's another interesting evolution, but unfortunately now I just can't eat as much bacon soup as possible without thinking I'm wasting resources. But that's not all, as interestingly, there's a bit of an item system where you can pick up multiple gen parts and later use them in a bit of a crafting system. It's really interesting and again pretty inventive for an indie horror. Also, we get the ability to save whenever we want, hell yeah, and with 10 save slots. Now I feel a lot less nervous when I can just save scum. But we make it to a new place, Artist Alley, up for the studio's animators where they held new tours to rake income, and even have a little food court area, that's nice. But our way is blocked as Allison messages us to get a weapon, a gen pipe. As more enemies emerge, especially some aggressive lost ones. This introduces a new mechanic, stealth. Now stealth has been a part of the first game, dealing with hiding in especially Chapter 5, but that really wasn't great. Luckily here it's much more improved with the crouching mechanic and it's pretty merciful all things considered. Thankfully these guys in the peripheral vision, plus the saving system really helps in this regard for trickier segments. But anyway we sneak around and get stuff to gain access to more areas, typical Bendy formula where nothing is easy. We get the gen pipe so we can finally fight back. But we do find a storage area with an audio hint of one of the staff members hiding assets from the Gen Company who wants to take them back with the company failing, giving us the hint to bash posters. It actually took me a bit to find out what to do, but you gotta bash like all these posters once you get the gen pipe, and then this opens the door to a secret chamber, and hell yeah, another upgrade, nice. I appreciate how this game seems to also give the player more incentive to actually explore the world, and these bonuses are a great incentive for that. Again, more than most survival horror, it's nice. I love this game's environment, and it really does make me want to constantly run around and explore it. However, as we continue on, we find a flooded ink room, and if you know the lore of the game, you know that's really not a good thing. And pretty much, it literally talks to us, trying to take us with it. It says it gives us a gift as we resist. As we soon see, our inky hand now is the glowing mark of Gygus. Yeah, no, that's 100% the creepy ass face of Gygus from Earthbound. What the hell? I know it's supposed to be a searcher, but come on. But this gives us a new power, as if we sneak and interact with an enemy while hidden, we can banish it back to the dark puddles, giving us basically a stealth kill ability. Awesome. Combat is very similar to the original game. Basically, just swing a melee weapon as much as you can, but I like the changes here, making it much more intuitive, with quicker and more responsive swings, making more quick and intuitive fights than before, especially with larger enemies, making it feel less like a survival horror and so more like a normal action game, which I'm actually thankful. In order to respond to this, enemies do seem to respawn if you leave an area too long, but they also now have item drops, cool, giving those gent pieces and sometimes health if you take damage. Plus, there's also a bit of a currency mechanic, as you can find these things called slugs used in these company vending machines. You can buy things and get health back. Plus, later these places where you can build these one-time keys out of the gem parts you find to open these safes to give a ton of supplies. Neat. And then it felt really stupid going backtracking when I just had to push this card to open a door, fighting some more enemies, and continue on the tour route, as the elevator path is out of commission. But okay, it is getting a little boring so far. The game really has got to surprise me now and oh, what? Bendy? Like, actual Bendy? He's real! He's real, and he's adorable! Like, seriously, this is amazing. For so long, there's been a massive attraction between cartoon Bendy and ink Bendy, and it's literally a plot point that the ink demon was a failed attempt to bring the real Bendy to life, not even technically Bendy. But here he is, somehow, it's incredible. But our scary ink-powered arm hurts him, as it is an adorable cry, like just likes a snowman, and runs off. However, we come to a new room, where the door we need to continue, but it's blocked by this douchebag who demands his paintings back. Dude, just do what everyone else does and make a deviant art to post your art. Sure, it has a bad reputation, but it's like the best place to make a public art gallery. You don't need to do this. So we gotta get our way to the artist studio, Artist Alley. But we continue on and we hear someone. The Ink Demon. He has a surprisingly manly voice. I didn't know you had it in you.
Tell me your sweet name, that I may devour it.
I don't feel safe.
God, didn't Winston like kill you and shit? I much rather take on Old Man Jenkins than your bull. But yeah, he's back, damn it, and we gotta go through his lair. Already, wow. Plus, we also get a weird memory thing, wonder what that's about. As we basically get to the end having to open the door until, oh god. Oh god, Yep, it's Ink Demon time. God damn it. Oh, come on, not this again. Yeah, we got Ink Demon hunting again, straight out of chapter 3. But at least the chapter ends right here, so we can stop for now. But yeah, chapter 1, talk about a step up. For an introduction to a new Bendy game, I think it really knocked it out of the park, showing all the numerous improvements and additions not only to the visuals and design, making the game so much more detailed, realistic, and atmospheric, where even the old games look bland in comparison, but even the additional gameplay options with so many new mechanics that fit well into the franchise, to evolving some of them in proper ways, to adding new ones we've never seen before, even adding forms of customization through the upgrades. Not to mention the world itself invites so much more exploration and solving, as seen with the secret rooms with the upgrade chambers. It almost didn't even feel like an introduction level, and still pushed you out a lot throughout. And I really wonder where the game can go from here. I'm seriously loving and appreciating it so far. But now to chapter 2, starting straight out with my least favorite mechanic from the first game. Now, chapter 3 had a mechanic where the Ink Demon can spawn throughout most of the map for a good chunk of the chapter, being the main threat as you get tasked to walk all around the levels doing errands for Alice. And if he spots you, he'll scream and chase you, and if he touches you, you die. I found this completely and utterly anxiety-wracking and kind of ruined the whole chapter for me, but at least the entire chapter was built around it, having simple enemy encounters and simple puzzles. Well, okay, the valve puzzle with the mechanic was kinda crap. You should not have to do this with him being able to spawn at any time. But still, the chapter made it work for the most part. It's a personal issue, not an objective problem, and hell, I know people love it. But now they're back and starting right at the start of the second chapter, which is weird. Like, the first game built up Bendy before this and being able to find him in the wild. Here you're just kind of basically shoved in, it's weird. In this art studio, we're tasked by that douchebag to get his pieces of art scattered around the place, so we gotta get them, all while being hunted by Bendy. Kinda like Slender, honestly. But yeah, this is also immediately nerve-wracking. So the mechanic has changed somewhat. Before, Bendy would spawn with his aura near the player in designated spots from the wall, and would walk and disappear to another point. If he spots you, then he'll hunt you until you hide. Here, it basically gets rid of that, now flashing a sudden, "The Ink Demon is coming," prompting you to hide in the nearest hiding location. And if you don't in about 7 seconds or so, you will instantly die. So it's different, but I guess kind of merciful since you aren't spotted and chased purely by chance. You have a bit to get to a hiding spot, and luckily the game gives you plenty in this area, even where you can break barrels to hide in them. Now, I said I'm terrible with survival horror, but this is one of the reasons why. Like, I can take the horror ambience and atmosphere, I can take the stealth and sneaking action, I can even handle the jump scares for the most part, but just the ever-present threat of an unkillable instant death monster that can literally appear out of any moment, and I might not even be able to escape from, drives my anxiety off the walls in ways I can't even explain. It's literally why I don't replay chapter 3 when I can, it's too stressful. But luckily, at least in this part, I can say it's done pretty well. Now the studio here is very small with the pages found throughout different rooms, connected through vents, so it's all a small condensed almost maze-like area. There's still plenty of hiding spots all around, so when Bendy appears, you do always have a spot within arm's reach, especially when he triggers every time after you get a page. You're only really at risk in the open, but still it's easy enough to avoid him if you avoid being out too long. But I should also talk about his redesign. Honestly, I kind of love it. I do have a soft spot for the original uncanny lanky dude. He can be legitimately creepy at times in the first game, but this game tries to make him much more overtly beastly and monstrous. But luckily not to the same level as Beast Bendy in the final chapter, where he just became a weird big brute. It kind of like evens it out, being huge and unproportional, really like an abomination on like goat hooves and his massive bull-like horns. His teeth though, that's great. Human teeth are surprisingly more creepy than spiked teeth, and make it look like a peeled back skull with a cartoonish grin. I feel it works so well. Like this thing will just legit bite your neck off, it works really well. I think it's the best balance for an ink demon. I surprisingly didn't have much trouble with it than I thought, except for this one ridiculously placed vent that was mandatory that's really hard to notice. No, I can't hide forever, I'll show you. Anyway, we post the pics and finally kill this asshole. Honestly, I kill him anyway what he put me through. Then I read this note and suddenly I find him relatable. Still, the massive dick move, dude. But now we can put all that Bendy stuff behind us. Except we can't. Yes, this leads to the actual worst part of the game that I find incredibly frustrating and asinine. The ink demon spawns throughout the entire game. Yes, really. From this point forward, throughout literally the entire game, Bendy can just appear and kill you at any moment. Why the hell would you do that? Like seriously, this fundamentally just cannot work for this game. As I said, the game doesn't really play like conventional mascot horror. It plays similar to BioShock or possibly Barrel at Sea Part 2 really. The game wants you to explore these huge maps and solve intricate puzzles, backtrack and find secrets, and fight loads of enemies in more complicated systems, prioritizing slow, careful, methodical stealth. You cannot do that when you also have the random out of nowhere insta-kill demon alarm that can activate at any moment. Seriously, it just cannot work. What the hell is wrong with this game? Like really, you can have slow methodical stealth and exploration while also stringing sudden high-stake hiding. It just fundamentally does not work. Chapter 3 worked because the chapter was built around it and they couldn't just shove into other chapters. This game goes, it, let's just put it everywhere. Who cares if the gameplay doesn't support it? Like, this game wants to have its cake and eat it too. It wants to have that high-stake horror stalking and hiding throughout it, but it also wants you to engage in slow methodical stealth and puzzle solving with other enemies. Hell, there are enemies in your hiding spaces. It's like if you combined Alien Isolation with BioShock, you just can't freaking do that. The game tries to balance it by putting hiding spaces everywhere, but through a huge map, you're gonna be in situations where you won't actually have one in your vicinity under a strict time limit. Not to mention the grayscale makes it hell to even identify any of them in a crisis. Like, I was backtracking trying to do what the game wanted me to do to find secrets and got into a fight, and then the ink demon spawned saying, hurry, hurry and hide, damn it! While I was fighting an enemy blocking my nearest hiding spot, I just barely managed to do it in time. It's so awful. Again, it's proof this mechanic clearly can't work when the game wants you to do so many things at once. It's trying to be like BioShock, but BioShock doesn't have surprise insta-kill monsters that can appear anytime. And you don't respawn, you get a game over and have to reload at your last save, hope it doesn't f you over. This ruins so much of the game. It pressures you to never explore, never engage in anything, and be constantly paranoid at every second that you'll die. You just never do half the stuff the game wants you to do. You just want to finish things as soon as possible and never be on the open too much, and it kills so much of the experience. This was the worst possible mechanic to add in the worst possible execution I've ever seen. Look, maybe it's subjective, maybe hardcore horror fans love it and wish it was even more, but I absolutely hated it. It just made everything so bad and frustrating. Like, if you want to do this, have designated hardcore segments like before with Bendy hunting you, and separate chill areas where you can do everything else. Combining them fundamentally ruins the experience, and I've read so many people feel the same. And I'm playing on easy, it shouldn't be as big a deal there, but god, imagine on normal. But at least it can't get any worse. It does. For the love of God, do not go in there. I did because I figure the game would hide something in there like it loves to, and it's only on the beaten path. But if you play this game, under no circumstance should you interact with this box. In the context, the Butcher Gang, Bendy's reoccurring rogues, had a pitch of a fourth member, Carly, a girl who was laughed off, but apparently she still got implemented in the Slicer. This thing just jump scares you. That's it. It also damages you, but it just screams in certain places and just jumps and damages you and leaves. And this is the worst type of jump scare possible. Now, I give Bendy some credit. It does jump scares better than most. Yeah, some are cheap, but plenty are perfectly fitting and situational, relying on location and suspense, and I feel they work. Just having a goddamn demon do nothing but appear and go blah 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 and hurt you for no reason, no suspense, no build-up. It's the cheapest jump scare imaginable. And if you open that box, you'll have to deal with her the entire game. Yes, I'm not kidding. The game never once tells you this. It's a beginner's trap, like for sake. Why not put a warning before that? It just gives you a stupid ass achievement. I didn't ask for this. It combined with the other thing just ruined so much of my experience in this chapter. It can't stop becoming horrifying. It just went to pissing me off. Like, I love this franchise. I spent an hour defending the first game from its criticisms, but this, even I just came out so frustrated and annoyed. You know it's bad when that happens. But okay, while I'm still continually terrified of the ink demon appearing at any time, not to mention jump scare Jimmy, we do a simple puzzle with the projector so we can get out. But anyway, we meet this friendly lost one, Porter, who holds us back to the normal area, and as a gift gives us a brand new ability. Flow. Now, this is awesome. It's basically like a dash function. You can use to rush ahead and leap through the air like a platformer. You can use it to cross gaps and jump ahead of stuff. I love how this game implements this stuff. It's so unique for a horror game, but it's really cool. But we can't use the elevator yet, as we gotta upgrade our gen pipe, and there's a way through the locker room. Now, this part is a cool room filled with lockers in a practical maze, and also would fit for another ink demon room, but I didn't come across it here. Eventually, in another simple puzzle, using an audio tape, we get to upgrade our pipes so we can be electrified to unlock electronic doors. But we get ambushed by searchers on the way out. Again, I'm fine with this. It's surprising but a good enemy encounter in the tight maze space, so it works. Also, don't bother backtracking through this room. I couldn't find anything worth it. Please tell me I've missed something. But we can continue to get the hell out of here, but the elevator is blocked, leading us to a side route through the artist's rest. Seemingly a place where workers literally could rest and sleep overnight if need be. Something tells me actual corporations would do this if possible. Also, unfortunately, it seems butchers are just here to act as jump scares. Really bothers me. But look at this place. Again, I love how this game looks and its design. The scale, the architecture, the atmosphere, it's so great. It's like if you fused the medical pavilion and Olympus Heights in Bioshock. It looks so atmospheric and cool. I wish I could appreciate it more since the area is practically begging me to and look around. But again, with the dumbass hunting demon mechanic, it's literally harmful if you do. It's another reason why the mechanic clearly doesn't work with what the game intends. Not to mention the concept of patrolling circling enemies that respawn, so again, waiting and doing nothing and getting the hell out of here ASAP is pretty counterintuitive. These guys basically demand you do the stealth approach since they swarm so easily, and I'll admit I got caught a lot more trying to just use force, but that's unhelpful in the long run. It's probably just me and my preferred playstyle like in the first game where combat was pretty basic, but the game really wants you to prioritize stealth and strategy. Again, difficult with the you-know-what. But honestly, this part is really confusing what to do. It's like never really elaborated upon. We sometimes get little waypoint markers which would really help. What happened to them? On the second floor, we get a message that we need a key to activate a hoist to get to the elevator room. It's in the lost and found, which was kind of confusing to find, help with the enemies in the you-know-what. You have to go to this thing and turn on these doors in this panel, so that's to really be more obvious. But we can go in and use flow to get to this window and take the keys for ourselves. Now to get back in. Oh, got him. Oh, got him. Oh, got him. Oh, got him. You see, game, you can actually earn a scare like this with the proper build-up and bait and switch. You don't need to force it so often. But yeah, with it, we can get to the hoist using flow. But before we do, we go to this corner, which I thought was the intended route. Use another button, we can go in and get another upgrade. I'm going for help because these fights kind of kick my ass half the time, plus another memory. But we zoom back out, reset because God never seems to work right half the time, and continue. Now to chapter 3, the Infernal Machine. But we're done for now, and good lord, just... Look, you saw what I said about chapter 1. I loved it, and that was a perfect evolution for Bendy that enhanced so many aspects of the game, from its visuals to its mechanic. It was so good and I enjoyed it. So chapter 2 was just kind of a punch in the face. Like, at first it even did my most hated mechanic right for the most part, but it just kept going for absolutely no reason when the rest of the game literally doesn't support it, making literally everything so needlessly frustrating and stressful. I don't know how this went past testing. Again, I had it easy, and I still couldn't stand it for the most part. Having Bendy spawn everywhere fundamentally ruins the game, and you make it present while having the gameplay treated like it's not a thing. The simplest tasks or encounters become a pain when at any moment you get the douchebag alert demanding you run and find the closest hiding spot. We can barely see it. It's so obnoxious and horrible. Seriously, just have dedicated parts of this mechanic. Don't force it through the whole game when it clearly doesn't work. I had it easy. I can't imagine doing it elsewhere. Also, having jump scare Jimmy practically ruin your entire run, giving the worst and cheapest jump scares possible with no indications to new players. It's just genuinely game design. I'm amazed no one thought it was a bad idea, and it made this chapter a pain. I want to like this chapter. I had a lot going going for it in its environment and gameplay, but these horrible decisions made a complete pain, especially with how confusing the map and gameplay got by the end, with little indication to the player on what to do. And in the end, I genuinely wanted it to end. It felt like a chore. And I legitimately was thinking of quitting just so I don't have to deal with it anymore. Legit, this video wouldn't have been made. I thought I loved this game, but this chapter just... God. But we gotta keep going and things really aren't looking too great. Before I continue, I installed a mod to get rid of Jump Scare Jimmy because if the game gives me no heads up before ruining my save, I'm gonna cheat to get rid of it. It's stupid. Thanks for the mod, thank God that we replay the chapter. But anyway, as we left off, we can go to the elevator as we go to the elevator room. Apparently it was a pain even when this company was functional to get on. Anyway, this place feels more like a train station, but eventually we push this away and can head right onto— oh God, oh, why now? Why now? Jeez, even scripted Bendy encounters still require you to do this crap. But still, we got to the elevator anyway, and hey, looks like we got company. Hell of a work day, right, pal? Yeah, this guy gets me. But literally nothing has gone right to anyone using an elevator in a Bendy game, as the PI gets on as an entity called the Keeper tells us our exit is unauthorized and throws us off. Literally, the bottom opens up as we fall into a weird pit with— oh jeez, what the f is that? What the f are these freaky spider things? Just look at them, they're so damn creepy! God, the spider limbs, the human teeth coming out, just God, especially in these pods. These are like the most disgusting ink creatures ever. Not gonna lie, when I fell, I just panicked for like a minute running around trying to kill everything and trying not to die. I eventually did, these guys just swarmed me. But luckily you respawn right here. You can charge your pipe on the exposed wires, but you can't make an escape until you deal with it. Kinda wish it was made more obvious, it's really vague, but you hit these glowing hatches all around the arena multiple times trying to run them on the crawlers. But anyway, you hit them and they all leave. Oh God, no, what the fuck is that? But hell yeah, our first boss, the Crawling King. If you thought the little ones were gruesome, just look at this thing, Jesus. Like seriously, one of the most fundamentally disturbing designs in this franchise, and even its noises. It's a giant spider with human teeth on its back. But it's actually pretty simple. It'll follow you and try to stab and slash you with its limbs, but you just need to maneuver around it and smack it with your pipe. Then it crawls up and spits out more crawling guys you gotta avoid and smack to kill before you pass on for another cycle. But a trick being that if you got the upgraded pipe, you can use the electricity nearby to charge a smack and take it out in a turn in a single hit. But really, in no time, this horrific abomination dies like it deserves. By the way, if you die by it and not the minions, you legit just get bored. So after that horrifying shit, we continue on as Audrey pretty much begs Allison to help her, rightfully so. So she says he's coming, and then we just kind of ignore that and continue on ourselves. And oh my God, Bendo boy, no, come back, I love you. Man, they really made him so damn adorable. But we go after him and take out more of those weird mouth pods. I hate them so much. We go further to the Gen Company shafts into the studio's massive sewer system. And by sewer, of course I mean ink. It's all ink once you get a hint of water in this universe. But then we find someone we never thought we would. Joey Drew. Yeah, really, Joey Drew himself. Diz Waltney, the man himself. It's actually incredible. You have never seen this before outside of the ending, but here he is, tunified technically. What the hell is he here, and didn't he die or something? Everybody knows who we are and starts his classic inspirational speeches.
I believe there's something special in all of us. Especially you, Audrey.
Audrey just wants some answers from the founder on what the hell is this place, telling us it's a cycle, a nightmare repeating forever. Likely calling back to the ending of the first game where the entire thing restarted. So if you watch my original video, I always thought that was metaphorical, and the game was thus a fictional work in universe. It just continually gets revised, but this is damn weird. So it seems Joey and the ink machine just straight up made a damn alternative universe. What the f is in that machine? Literally, it's had to be a parallel universe caught in a time loop. It's crazy. But even then it's wearing down. But Joey here does imply that it's still somewhat a work of fiction, like I thought it was previously, so we'll see.
Whether it was built for revenge or regret, I don't know.
Joey says someone outside is messing with the world of the cycle, likely Wilson from earlier. Apparently saying bad things are coming from the puddles. What the hell? Okay, bad things have come from this shit since the beginning. Where have you been, J. Jonah Jameson? However, he mentions the Keepers, the most dangerous ones, taking over the Gent workshop to bring order, stopping the cycle and solidifying it. Honestly, it sounds good to me. It's not expecting it any worse. But tells us we'll find our answers there, and then saying that we're here for a reason. But Audrey asks if he made this world, can he do something about it? But Dre reveals he's not the man, just his memory, as he fades away like a Marvel character in Infinity War. And in the next room, we see his grave. Yeah, geez. So So he died in real life and in the cycle too, taking some form of his consciousness as a sort of ink spirit. Wild. Now this was quite the scene. I would have never imagined it, but it's actually really cool meeting Joey in the world of the studio and in this style. It's one of the reasons I love that there was a sequel to the first game to expand on it, especially given the huge exposition and lore it built to the actual story of the game, which doesn't give you a lot for the most part. It's great. But yeah, with Joey's guidance, we gotta get to the Gent building through the sewers, and there's a path right there. With a bit of a trek and going after Toon Bendy again, we go through the large sewer grate at a bit of a rest stop. Seems this area of the sewer is already settled, as there's banners all over for this Lord Amok who will bring order. And we later see it's from a gang/cult of those lost ones who will pop up and attack you. But this part is super confusing as the game kinda never really tells you what you need to do. There's a lot of wandering around. Like, I got so lost trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do that I accidentally found another secret and got another ink upgrade. I of course went for help because these fights are brutal. I want to survive. We get some hint from a document about accessing some switches and opening hatches in the water pressure, but it's hard to find how to access it. Oh wait, I can use flow. That's what I'm supposed to do. I can't seem to reach it. Maybe if I just... Oh, come on, you bastard, right now! This is what I mean that this mechanic is such bullshit. It's nothing but frustrating and invasive to the actual game. But part of this deserves a stupid, hey, this thing will just spawn and kill you instantly, hope you're not in a bad location. This is what I mean, like I'm trying to solve the puzzle the game puts out for me for a while, just be interrupted for absolutely no reason by pure chance, now put in a precarious situation by bad luck, and just barely managed to survive and save myself in time. Like, you see why this is terrible. And trying to do something completely different, just have this dumbass mechanic padded out and unneeded stress for no reason. This seriously ruins the whole damn game. Why'd they do this shit? I hate it. For all after that crap, I checked multiple times and yeah, no dice. That's not how you do it. That's an invisible wall. Probably shouldn't have made that more clear when you introduced a mechanic like this. Turns out that rest area had a place you can charge your pipes and get through this lock and deactivate it to go to another panel to drain that area's ink and then open this hatch and refill it so that the ink now pours to that room and elevate the platform, and now you can jump on it. Like, I think it's technically fine, but I think the average person wouldn't need to backtrack that far, especially with all the rooms here. But yeah, fine puzzle I guess is kind of vague and confusing at first. But yeah, eventually we can move on and hear more about Lord Amok. He defeats all those he encounters, but says that Lord Amok has a title passed down to those who can defeat him. And yeah, pretty soon we see him, and he says it's goons to us, but they go down as he fights himself. To expect the proper boss battle, well, he's not really here. He's just like a slightly stronger lost one. Really disappointed given the build up, but then we get hailed as the new Lord Amok, and it doesn't matter at all. Like, literally, this amounts to nothing. You can't really do anything aside from loot some stuff, and you get a title and just have it. You don't even talk to the other guys for help, to just hail you. What? Well, then what was the point of this? You built this up so much. What's the deal? I'm serious. Why bother not gonna do anything with the whole thing? Not expecting much, just some actual payoff. This feels almost like something was scrapped in development. You can sit on a chair, though. That's neat, I guess. We can finally make it out and shut up, you jackass, I don't care. But we get out in what seems to be a weird subway station, but then we find... What the hell? In Ink City? Like, seriously, this is game changing. All this time we were in this impossibly large studio, even the first game, where it basically felt like a spiral to hell, going deeper and deeper as things lost more and more structure and meaning, like the studio was alive. And we basically saw it here like it's its own actual dimension. We see a full-blown New York style cityscape in this world. We're out of the studio, but where are we? Okay, but just like imagine if like only this dude had the ink abominations and everyone else is just a normal toon human like Joey. Would be kind of hilarious. But that's not long as Bendy! Hey, you don't fill me with uncontrollable rage, you are adorable. And luckily after so long he finally trusts us to help him and joins us as a new companion. Hell yeah. And wait, that's it? That's the chapter? What the hell? Yeah, this was surprisingly short. I legitimately didn't expect it, but we need to pause here. So yeah, unlike Chapter 2, I didn't hate it, but it felt kind of underwhelming. It started out strong with some good atmosphere, and especially the creepy boss encounter and the cool scene with Joey. Like, Joey was never in the cartoon world, and it seemed intentional, and I remember it threw a lot of people off. But seeing him here and explaining the setting and your importance to everything was so awesome. But everything else, Sewer stuff was cool for a bit, but you can't make sewers cool for a long period of time. And the puzzle, as I said, was kind of vague and confusing, and not really interesting. I spent most of this chapter running around trying to find out what to do, and that Lord Amok thing just felt like completely wasted potential. It's weird, this almost feels like a filler chapter, but there's only so many chapters here, especially compared to the Ink Machine, which at none of the chapters really feel like filler. It's so weird. I didn't hate it, but it was really off-putting and underwhelming, not looking too great. But now to Chapter 4, Factory of Horrors. Chapter 4 of the original was one of my favorite chapters, with such great aesthetics and so much variety and fun bosses. I love playing it. It's a standout in my experience with the game. So maybe this Chapter 4 can live up to it. But yeah, we got little Bendo on our side walking around. Oh my god, isn't he adorable? Look at him. It's no wonder he became an icon in the gaming community. Perfect design right here. But we leave the subway station and goddamn, is this gorgeous. Again, the game's style and atmosphere is incredible. The aesthetic of the 30s townscape with the details of the numerous buildings and stores, the scope and feel of the entire thing, the dark cloudy sky with such scale, it genuinely feels like a massive world, a whole dimension outside the studio. This world feels lived in and so real with the details and the lighting and shading of the dark night streets with the lighting of the stores and the lamps are incredible. I'm so in love with this, I want to walk around it for hours. It's like the Toontown version of Good Neighbor from Fallout 4 or something. Like, this is something that's so cool to see from a Bendy game, then really reaching out and trying new things with the environment to make the world so much more bigger, detailed, and beautiful. I can't get enough of it. God, seriously, I can't get enough of this franchise aesthetics, and it's genuinely one of the best things about it that makes it stand out above so many other games that blend together. You don't really get another game that looks and feels like this, and absolutely love it. And yeah, I can legitimately just walk around this place forever, but we gotta carry on to the Gent workshop, but needs an ID card. Bendy helps us to look for places that can have it, pointing at stuff, and man, it's adorable. But soon enough, we get a note from a Gent worker about a frustrating ID system that gets a little too real. This guy is totally right. So we can just steal it from his hotel, and luckily find just a douchebag to open the gate to do it. Everyone is so violent in this town. I just realized, like, with all these buildings, do the Lost Ones just have like 9 to 5 jobs working in these buildings? I sure hope they do. This sounds really funny. This is literally just Detroit. Yes, Ink Demon and all. But I also appreciate the background music, super atmospheric. And look at little Bendo. He always is at every bench we come across. He's so cute. I just wanna... But to the Downside Hotel, hilarious name, we can use flow up here to get above as everything's blocked and make our way to the apartment room. God, I'll be using paying for rent on a room that has a massive hole in the floor.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door.
Anyway, we can get the key in. Holy hell, Joey! I thought you were dead. I guess you're just our Obi-Wan for this story. Joey talks about our progress and then brings up Audrey has her father's attitude. Apparently Audrey, getting kinda sassy, didn't know her father and has no family. As Joey says she's forgotten her past and enforces the memory upon us and teleports us someplace new and familiar. That's right, the studio from the first game, hell yeah! This is such a good callback to the first game for fans getting to relive it. But man, seeing it again in the Dark Revival graphical upgrade is something else, let me tell you. So much more lighting and detail than before, it's downright magical. But we also see it so much more ruined and decrepit, much different than before when it was practically the best looking part of the studio. Almost like it was after the events where the ink machine was activated. However, on the old projector, Joey puts on a film that finally gives us lore. But Joey, the real Joey, was old and bitter and had nothing left to give, probably after going bankrupt. Blaming everyone else, he blamed Henry and wanted revenge. He apparently used the ink machine to make a new horrible world, in the cycle to torment a version of Henry for all eternity. Seemingly what was the first game, at least the origin. However, someone helped him, Allison Pendle, the real one who visited him, and saw him as an old friend who brought light to Joey's dark life and worldview, turning him softer and more kind. In the cycle, he helped Henry and gave him Allison, at least a tuned version of Allison to help him. But this made Joey want to make something new, something he's always wanted.
Something he had always wanted, but he could never have. A family.
Eventually managed to make a new one, something that made him happier than ever. A daughter of his own.
Almost human. He created you, Audrey.
Yes, Audrey herself is a creation of the machine that manifested in the real world, or presumably the real world. Now this is kind of confusing and yet clear at the same time. Now in my original video, I theorized the ending of the first game pretty firmly showed the game was a work of fiction. Storyboard and animation of an apology by Joey and regret for his actions, turning his horrible cartoon empire to a dark deranged story where Henry, his friend he wished could have saved him, was the hero to stop the horrible world he made and the demon of the mascot he created that consumed him and so many others. I thought it was super interesting and poignant, but this might change things. So it seems like it confirms in a way that the story is fictional and was a cartoon version of Henry, but first made like a revenge fic, putting him through a cartoon hell for was changed by Allison to make him the hero to fight back, which makes sense as it was pretty much constant torture until she appeared as the first person besides Boris, who freaking died horribly, to be kind to him, tell him of his greater destiny to save them all. But it's weird because the ink machine shouldn't actually have like magical powers in this case if it was real, at least work like it did in the narrative, and especially if Joey was just able to make a real living person. But maybe there's more stuff going on we can see later. Audrey refuses the truth knowing that she's real and not a cartoon, also getting really introspective.
Ink monster.
Just because we're born of darkness doesn't mean we belong to it. We're always free to choose, to believe what we want to believe.
But Audrey forces them to take them back and denies everything. But honestly, I love that. I do really love the lore and the twist the game has, especially to the original, which I didn't really like to give much out. But we make it back down. Hey, where's Bendy? And it'll be alright. As Wilson, pissed off, summons more lost ones to attack us. But anyway, we can finally make it to the factory. And oh man, just look at this place. Isn't it so damn going? Oh, come on. No, not now, you jackass. Just let me pass. But something activates, painting us both, as we see the ink demon turn into little Bendy. Oh my god, they were the same. When they say there's a demon inside of me, this guy's literal about it. I actually love this twist, like you might see it coming, but man, it's a surprise that works. He runs away as it seems we're safe here, as we can get in and already see some bodies on autopsy tables. That's not a good sign. Plus, with a tale about the Gen Company literally just hiring people off the streets to experiment with and kill. Jesus. Well, it was either this or Aperture Science. Not many options. But yeah, kinda weird that this game took Gent. Gen before we didn't know much about, but it seemed like a normal engineering company, even if they didn't make the ink machine. But yeah, here's like some weird evil corporation doing experiments like the Big MT or something. It's kind of weird, but I guess works. Granted, I still don't know how much of this is even real, but anyway, after a pretty easy lock puzzle, we can get further in. Oh my god, who the hell are you? Anyway, Miss Analog Horror here is one of the keepers, those authoritarian douchebags controlling everything. Audrey wants to get out, but they find it's a dangerous new life form. They want eternal control of the cycle, and in their eyes, the machine must endure. They were made by Wilson to maintain order and control of the world. Pull a GLaDOS to kill us with toxic gases. So we gotta do what we do best. Vent and get the hell out of there. And when we escape, they call for security to eliminate us themselves. So yeah, we got another huge stealth segment, which honestly I kind of love. Now the area is pretty cool and open, but they are patrolled by keepers, and god, their designs. I was really itching for a new really cool creature design, and these things knocked it out of the park. Their body shapes so sleek and rounded as they have machinery poking out of them. Their eyes like searchlights with their giant gears in their back like they're being wound up to move. Their long, lanky, malformed arms on wires, and especially their wired snake legs just slithering about. Plus the cool markings on their clothes kind of make them look like the Phantom Blot. Awesome. Like seriously, one of my favorite designs from the franchise. They knock it out of the park and look like messed up epic Mickey characters. But these keepers are patrols having these big spotlight eyes going back and forth. I like a simplified version of the projectionist from chapter 3 of the original game, but not as scary or difficult. Still, you gotta make sure you sneak one around them, as even though the vision isn't great, they can still sense you even if you aren't in their line of sight. And when they see you, they aggro, scream, and go on the attack, and they can kill you in a few moves. And furthermore, they're unkillable. So yeah, it's mandatory to stealth around, and I will hand to them, it's pretty stressful at times. But this is the horror I love. Deserves suspense from the area and design, but not going too overboard and not cheap. It's really getting back into it. So yeah, it's actually a really good stealth portion. However, as we go around, we can hear some audio logs. The Keeper someone managed to subdue and sedate the Ink Demon, seeking its termination, noted as the biggest threat in the cycle. And later, you can find another one. Apparently, they somehow suppressed the Ink Demon to a more harmless, loving, and timid form, that being the adorable Toon Bending, where his power is greatly reduced. So when they say they broke the Ink Demon in half, they mean it in another way. However, it seems they want him to stay in this form forever, which as we can clearly see, yeah, it didn't turn out too well. But eventually, we get past the Keepers and find the door to the pit. Hopefully not the Fallout 3 pit, but hey, maybe that's better than here. Honestly, this place is almost as bad as Pittsburgh.
I call it Pittsburgh!
Where they keep the cycle breakers. More on them later. We can't access, but find a friendly lost one. This girl named Heidi, who can. With the mentality of a young girl, Heidi offers to open the door, but only if we play a game of hide and seek with them. So yeah, a bit of padding, but works enough here. With the mechanics, as we have to go around the factory and find her while avoiding the Keepers. So it adds more of a reason for them to be a threat, ironically as we become hunters as well. It actually took me a fair bit to find them, but luckily the Keepers aren't too big of a deal once you get their patterns and with the new movement options. You actually have to use flow to jump to a higher list to find them, as they're overjoyed and open the door, but also give us a new ability as thanks. The ability to fast travel, hell yeah! Now, in a game as open as this, it's great that you get an option for fast travel, even though it's not as free as you hope, as you can only warp between special respawn pipes. They basically link in duos, but are usually placed before or after a significant area, which really helps a lot, but I just wish we had the full map to make it easier. But yeah, even though being easily able to backtrack is fun, the stupid giant burly ink abomination in the room seriously ruins it. We also see a new chamber, and let's get on in and oh no. Thankfully, this big lunk isn't hostile and is technically called the Lurker, but another guy gives him the greatest name ever, Big Steve. Hell yeah, I love you, Big Steve. You're now my favorite. Now he's not hostile, but whatever you do, don't hurt him. You will legit game over, no respawn. A paper gives you a hint to get past him, go to the employee lounge in chapter 1 and get his favorite food. which is hell to backtrack, but what the hell, I'm too curious not to. The fast traveling does help a lot. Still took really long, and even found another secret memory when not even trying. Hope I don't need all of these. But yeah, just zooming past and trying to use the flow ability. Jesus, it's so inconsistent at times. You might as well call the game janky in the Dark Revival. But eventually we get the food. An ink heart. God, how good are these things? Everyone seems to want them. Then I go all the way back when we give it to Big Steve, as he moves and gives us the last gem pipe upgrade. Now to find an upgrade station. But I completely forgot where it is and have to backtrack again through the sewers to find one. To be fair, it was kind of hidden in the corner. Unfair. This fully upgrades the pipe when charged and can allow us to momentarily stun the keepers, so hell yeah, we get to fight those douchebags. But for now, it's not too helpful as we just move past them and head to the door to find the Cycle Breaker's prison. Soon after, Audrey meets a mysterious man. That's right, Henry Stein, the player character in the first game. This is so damn cool. We never got to see Henry in the game at all, and I remember the fandom constantly headcaning on how he looks like, and now we finally get to see it. It's amazing. He's been imprisoned by the Keepers as he's a massive threat to their plans. After all, he's the one to restart the cycle as seen with the first game. Universal reset that Wilson and the Keepers refuse to let pass so he can have complete control. He explains that defeating the Ink Demon with its one weakness, the last reel, will restart the cycle again and free the world of the Keepers' grasp. Though honestly, do we even want it to? Like, this place is utter hell with or without them. If anything, it's even better now since the Ink Demon is weakened somewhat. I'm willing to hear them out, honestly. Though Audrey at least implies they can make the world better if they can reset it. I still don't know about that. But Henry explains they keep the last reel upstairs in the pit. But yeah, we know what to do with Henry's help and can look around more. Oh goddamn, it's you again. You know what? Take this. Jesus! God, even as a decapitated head, you ruined my day. Plus, holy hell, Sammy! He's here too, playing the banjo. Wish we could chat with him. Wonder what he thinks about his god being a good little boy. You can even find Bertram in this vent chamber. Dude's not looking too hot. Also, this should be Alice and... Oh, I don't like this. But we can get to the pit, accidentally finding another memory in milk. Why? And push the button just before... Oh, come on! This would be a great time to use our upgrade, but the game forces us to a cutscene as we get caught, but wake up in a subway car next to Wilson. And Mr. McCreepy goes on a speech when Audrey asks why he brought her here and turned her into this. And Wilson gives what probably the writers say when questioned about the game's lore.
Open your eyes and look around you. None of this makes sense.
But jokes aside, it's actually intentional. Wilson literally says this is a world of fiction, calling back to my thought that none of this is actually real. But in this fictional reality, life is drawn and breathes. It gets really metaphysical when they actually confront it.
These things, these angels and demons, are they really life? Or are they just stains?
Illusion of life indeed.
Reality, guided by its master's pen. The foundation for a new reality. We can bleed into our own. Just think of it. Anything we create in here, we can release out there.
Wait. Are you telling me this whole time, Bendy and the Ink Machine and the entire world it made is literally just... Like, really think about it. By the way they're framing it, it is literally just Chalk Zone. Like an evil, twisted, up demented version of Chalk Zone where drawings come to life in their own dimension. Actually, would the whiteboard zone imply with the existence of other zones? Holy hell, this might just be another zone. This might be the Ink Zone. Are you kidding me? I'm not headcanon that this game and Chalk Zone take place in the same universe. This is the same multiverse. This is crazy. However, Wilson wants to mold the world to his liking, controlling it and questioning if they're really life. And honestly, I kind of love this scene. Again, this game has always from the start been about the power of art, creation, and making life from a pen. The illusion of animation, making a fictional character almost real, and yet real in our minds. And in context, millions at the same time. We see a world that resulted from someone trying to bring this art to life but failing as the biggest point in the original story. And this game actually gets really metaphysical with it, like realizing making art in another reality. And if in this world, if they even are real, are they really alive? Just an artist's plaything controlled by their hands. It's honestly fascinating. However, Wilson strangely asks us for help. What? What the hell do you mean? However, we immediately end the chapter here. And yeah, Chapter 4 was my favorite before, but this definitely does here too. finally things pick back up a lot. I love so much about this chapter. The incredible designs and the atmosphere of the cityscape and the factory feeling so alive and fresh for the franchise in ways it never felt before. It really does make this sequel feel earned to do these type of things. I like the gameplay with bringing in these new awesome keeper enemies, bringing a good blend of stealth, stakes, and horror, but it doesn't take it too far like the horribly executed hunting Bendy mechanic, making gameplay that feels fun and earned while still keeping the spirit of the games. I actually did a big stealth level with patrolling enemies better than Chapter 5 did. Even the other characters I liked, like Heidi and especially Big Steve, plus the prison seeing Henry again. Oh my god, that was awesome and so satisfying. But the lore and build up here was incredible. I love the callbacks and explanations in the franchise I never really liked to give it. But it's so fascinating and intriguing and really sets up the stakes and presence of the story. Feeling like we have something substantial to go on and giving everything more impact. I even appreciate the kind of thought provocation it gives us on the aspect of art and creation, which as I said was perfect for this game, and I got to get into it more. I love this chapter a lot, and frankly it's a highlight, even if I did do a lot of optional backtracking. The chapter 2 and kind of 3 I was getting put off of the game and almost wanted to quit, but this chapter brought me right back in. I'm excited to see where it goes. Now to the final chapter, Chapter 5, and fittingly, the Dark Revival. Let's see where this goes. Now, Chapter 5 in the original was admittedly kind of a mess, or I feel like they forced too many ideas. But let's see how this compares. So we get up and we get a weapon and stop. Wilson says we'll be fine as long as we stay close as it's crawling with keepers. Wilson eventually talks to us, but the ink demon somehow telepathically reaches us, telling us that he's lying and don't trust him. Look, okay, you're both jackasses, but you've done far worse to me, buddy. I'm taking his word over yours. Anyway, it turns out that not even the ink world is free from the TSA, so we have to submit our pipes so we can move on. Oh man, Wilson, this is a nice ass place you got here. Like, really, compared to the rundown studio and slums, this is lovely. It also explains the signal towers that we saw earlier. These nullify the ink demon's power so they can't come here, but also makes it that we can't use ours either, implying a direct connection between us and our status as beings from the Dark Puddle, or presumably both direct creations of the ink machine. Though curiously, he says that the Gen Corporation made the technology, implying they knew and made defenses against him, curiously enough. So Wilson apparently commissioned this ego trip of a painting when he didn't actually even kill Bendy. Come on, dude. It looked like you get a heart attack if someone blew on you hard enough. We also meet Betty, his housemate of his own creation, and man, she is so damn adorable. Like seriously, I love her design and her voice. She's a sweet little cinnamon roll.
It's not very often I have guests to look after, especially one I can actually talk to. Almost everyone here either can't speak or they're completely mad.
You know the saying a character is too pure for the world? This is literal. She's too pure for this world. How is she here? She is so cute. I love her and I want to protect her with my life. Apparently, she is some sort of failed clone, but it's unknown of what. She might be an Alice by some details in her body like her arms, but we never know, because we never see her without her mask. Anyway, she shows us to our room, which she says she meticulously cleaned up for us, and she did a really good job. This is like the most comfortable place in the entire damn series. Too bad it looks like we're just eternally wet, with ink dripping from our bodies, and wet sheets are the worst thing ever. She also explains that the North Wing got attacked by the ink demon, and is locked up and swarming with keepers, so we better keep away. She warns without Wilson that they'll just kill us. She tells us to get rest and to call her if we need them. But it turns out the sleeping draft she made has an ingredient missing. Gilson, as we had no idea what that is. So we look around and read some books, one of which may explain the dimensional theory on why this place exists. Another is really long that I didn't bother to read the whole thing. Is that a Cuphead reference? Anyway, it turns out that we need a special fish. We find one in a tank and just grab it to eat it, I guess. But then Betty suddenly appears and tells us what gives, and she forgot the powder Gilson, and so put it in now. Honestly, why didn't we just call for her? Feels like we couldn't at least yell. That was really dumb. And actually just pointless. A little funny, I guess. So we go to the bathroom and drink 3 sips. That Audrey does in a weird way, and oh, I can just feel the oncoming jump scare. Let's get it over with. Oh, what the hell? Alice? Yeah, Alice Angel, aka Susie Campbell, is back and out of absolute nowhere. Well, I guess not, we can't see she escaped from herself from before. But still, we're to include her here. Can't complain much though, I love her and happy to see her again. And wow, she looks amazing, like the graphical upgrade looks great on her, with so much more fluid animation and expressiveness in this model, with the new details of her human and monster half, and honestly, she's kind of hot. Don't judge me.
And with your generous sacrifice, I'll be beautiful. But for now, let's have fun.
Turns out Alice is hosting a little tea party and got all her friends / unwilling hostages to join her. But in her gruesome, yet cool monologue, she doesn't just kill us here and harvest our organs like she does with everyone else. She wants to play a game. I guess she was always one for the theatrics. So effectively, we need to solve a riddle and sit in a chair. If we get it right, we can leave. If we don't, we get electrified. Sounds cool. So effectively, out of these animals, we have to arrange the proper seating order, as the guest gives us hint on the order we should put them in, pretty much by the relationship to each other. We have to pay attention and piece it out ourselves. It's actually a pretty intuitive and engaging puzzle that's a genuine head scratcher. But I think we got it here. Now time for the moment of glory.
2, 1.
Yay, I did it! First try, nice. Anyway, we are free now, but Alice, of course, isn't gonna let us out that easily. But we get our weapon back somehow. I guess Alice took it. We learn we can use the electrified pipes to disable the signal towers. So we have our powers back. Awesome. But okay, we can finally make it out. Jesus! Holy sh! Alice is packing heat! Yeah, we got a boss fight with freaking Alice Angel of all people, using the Tommy gun for the first game against us. Frankly, this is awesome. One of the missed opportunities I felt in the original was that we never got an Alice boss fight, instead of just sending Brute Boris. But here we finally got it. It's not a conventional boss, but it practically is. Alice will constantly shoot at us from her balcony whenever she sees us, and if she gets us, it downright shreds our health. Thank God there are machines you can buy health from. Like, geez, this is the most I've ever spent on health in this game. Now you have to go back and forth between the sides of the room to unlock the door on the other side of the balcony. Both to charge your pipe to unlock the electronic gates. Do it twice for both sides. Luckily with your dash, it seriously helps to go between open areas without being caught. Also needing the time when Alice is reloading. So fall damage, be really careful. It's a little bit tricky, but you should be able to do both and get to her. Now, I thought you just run to her and smack her to kill her, but no, you actually don't, so let's keep shooting you. Thank God I fully upgraded my health. You're actually supposed to sneak up on her and use her banish ability. Alice resists, knocking you both down the balcony, standing over you with the Tommy gun about to finish you off. Then she gets stabbed suddenly by Allison. God, her dying this way really seems to be a universal constant. Ever as a change, is a kind of emotional scene, as Alice dies in Allison's arm. Alice sees she has her face and calls it beautiful, as Allison says it's their face, as she dies happy that she's beautiful like she's wanted. Damn. It got me to think that we never saw the two Alices interact in the original, and it really makes me wish I got to see this more with their parallels in history and real life. Even see a note that Allison tried her best to appeal to Susie's good nature and tried to help her before she succumbed to her insanity. It's fascinating, and I wish it got even more expanded upon. But yeah, finally, Allison and even Tom are here. It's about time. Why is it that these guys can only appear and do anything in the last chapter of these games? Why can't I have them for longer periods? But they don't know what we're doing in Wilson's retreat, as we have to tell them that he has a plan to kill the Ink Demon. They're unsure about it with his reputation of destroying the Ink world, but are willing to give it a shot for freedom. Knowing it's still a far shot, he says he's going to get whoever she can to get help, and takes Alice's Tommy gun for herself. Finally, at least someone gets to use it. But they're gone again from the story. Come on, game, why you gotta do this to me? So Tom being the literal only Boris we see in the game feels weird to me. However, it turns out we were in the North Wing, that place that was ravaged and sealed with the Keepers, and we gotta get back. Did the other guys help us? How did they get here? But game does a game. Anyway, also the Ink Demon talks to us more and sounds like he's choking off cough syrup.
Must they bring us only more pain?
So, stealth is back as a priority once again, as the entire level is infested to the brim with Keepers. And you know, how I said last chapter it was fun and not too intense? Yeah, that was basically a tutorial. Here it's hell. Before we had a lot of open space with wider berths for the Keepers in straight or at least predictable lines with plenty of cover. Here it's the opposite, as they're all around tight, narrow, and angled hallways. At first, it's still relatively easy, but it gets much harder as the level goes on, because I have to continually sneak just behind them to barely get to hiding spaces and wait for them to leave. They're also so much more legitimately terrifying with the signal towers nullifying your abilities and seemingly disable smaller hiding spaces once you get caught. It's so anxiety inducing and stressful. They can be pretty cheap noticing you too. Here the line of sight is deceptive. Dips the game back to straight horror. But again, it's a good scary. It has a tight strict gameplay that works and the game is built around it. You can adapt and know what to do. The game presents a proper challenge if you can overcome it if you're skilled enough, even if it's tense and stressful. Unlike, there's a demon coming in 6 seconds, how are you gonna die? Which ruins the entire game. Was a massive mistake. It bugs me so much where there's so many ways the game shows it can do this stuff right and it insists on doing this stuff wrong for cheap scares and tension. But it really gets tight as eventually we need to repair a music box for a distraction, but I had to go further in to get the pieces that were super stressful to me. My god, these guys legitimately did spook me trying to sneak by them. Eventually we do find the pieces and repair it and disable the towers along the way. But the game never really tells you where to put it. That's really a mistake. I'm supposed to put it here and distract the guards to check it out. But I swear it's still janky when it shouldn't, as they still spot you even when they're distracted. So it actually took a few tries. So we can open the exit and then for some reason the guards come back immediately. Like, okay, what now? How do I get past? Okay, Hail Mary, just run. Hell yeah, it worked. So yeah, this part was pretty anxiety inducing. I consider it scary with these things constantly crawling around and spotting you. But again, I say it's great. It works with the game's mechanics it set up from the start as the final test of your ability. It's good. When we make it back out to the retreat, as Betty is happy to see us alive. I'm happy to see you too. I want to see people who don't want to kill me. He tells us Wilson wants us in his lab for the solution. Also asks us to head back to town to get some food for dinner. Which of course I do, allowing us to backtrack to the main path again, as she's so happy she gives us another memory. Now I thought these were important, but turns out, not really. Also, the train really takes longer than it should. What's the deal? It's unneeded realism. You can die from it, by the way. But okay, now to Wilson's lab, and this is the point of no return. The game even says so themselves.
We're going, there will be no return until we've accomplished our mission.
But I think we're good, so let's finally head down and finish it. And we see color? Color in the ink world? What the hell is this? Like, seriously, what is this? What's going on? How are there rainbow colors in this grayscale world? Is it like puddles of rainbow? Did Wilson just pull a Draw Into Life 2 on us? This is freaking bonkers. Like, I know we had color before, but it feels like a cardinal rule has been broken, as he makes chambers that start to look more like Poppy's playtime than Bendy. So we reach his lab and hear his plan. So Wilson tells us his plan to defeat the demon.
To truly destroy such a monster, he must be dethroned, humiliated.
Like, pull his pants down and laugh at him? But no, he wants to make a new being to dethrone him as the new god of the realm. More powerful and controllable, as he shows us his creation.
Creation. Isn't he beautiful? Simple but elegant.
That's it? That's really it? You did all of this, to insert your stupid OC in this world? I don't know if I'm pissed off or impressed. Apparently, we're gonna kill this abomination against God with f***ing Flapjack. Well, okay, it is treated as a joke, obviously, even if the characters legit think it'll work somehow. Also, apparently his name is Shipahoi Dudley, but I couldn't make it out when I played, so I just called him Punxsutawney Phil. Maybe the humiliation comes from being beaten by this thing. I wouldn't want to show my face again if that happened. Audrey brings up that this can very well repeat Joey's mistake in creating the ink demon in the first place, but Wilson says everything needs to be perfect.
And the right soul.
Oh geez. Yeah, he needed us all this time to harvest our soul for his creation. Since the ink demon was made without a soul, this to make sure the creature won't be bad. Should. Wilson says this is why we're here, the reason for all of this. Turned out, Wilson lied about the whole saving his father thing, as he's actually the son of Nathan Arch. That's right, the guy who runs Archgate Studio and technically started this. Wait, how old is Nathan? You look 80. How are you his son? He resents living under his father's shadow for so long, neglecting and disrespecting him for so long. A big driving factor for his motivation, as if he can control the entire reality and manifest things in the real world, then he'll be above those his father considered to be the doers and the biggest minds of the world. We try to obviously resist, but he holds us back. But you know, not the best idea to be back first to a massive grinder behind you. Also to literally let the girl you're gonna shove into it have a weapon in hand. Shoving him instead, and oh, that's gore. Ink gore. A my discomfort character. Oh well, rest in peace. Or pieces. Yeah, his limbs are literally on the floor. It's gross. You were a creepy, effed up jackass in life. And death, honestly. So if he was a real guy, how did he like cartoon die here? It's weird. But still it worked. The soul got transferred to whatever was made. I still feel we can leave, but might as well face him. But first, hot dog. So we get to the ink machine. Wait, shouldn't it be a lot bigger here? The ink demon speaks to us once more as we turn on the machine, activating the signal towers, and then our final boss. Not Shipahoi Dudley, but Shipahoi Wilson. And God, look at that thing. I kind of love the design. Again, we saw what it was supposed to look like, but it basically got the Butcher Gang treatment. But I love its face, that uncanny blend of cartoon and human with the mismatched eyes, even when weirdly anime, which makes it look silly yet utterly demented. Also, the drooling and leaking color from it making it stand up but also look cool. Actually, with the big anime eye, it kind of looks like the Joy Virus from that one episode of Gumball. I love the anchor attached to him he uses as weaponry to swing around. It's a cool idea, as well as his bony hands like he's a corpse, and his crazy spider limbs that kind of look like a hand. It's a fun and cool monster design. I dig it. It's like a demented epic Mickey boss. I totally see this thing in those messed up concepts. Also, Wilson is just literally in his torso. It's brutal. I do wish that it had some build up, like an ink machine. Even if the chapter didn't build him up too well, it's Bendy. Literally every chapter was built up to this final confrontation. It felt nearly personal in some ways. Here we found this guy like 2 minutes ago, so it doesn't really have the same effect. Kinda makes you wish Wilson was alive and spoke through him, like make him our final boss more, like having him speak and have more initiative. To make that feel more personal than fight as Double C instead. But I will give credit, unlike the first game, this is an actual boss and not running around for the entire fight. So it is a little tricky at first, but you'll soon get it. The first phase will stay where he is and those anchors and gears at you. The gears you have to avoid, but you gotta bait him with the anchor toss to tear away the paneling of the signal towers, and then run to the exploded electrical grid to disable it, seemingly damaging it. You need to destroy all of them to get your powers back. You'll also spawn in special lost ones after you, but they're easy enough to take out. You shouldn't take too much damage with this phase, it's pretty easy but enjoyable. The second phase, however, things get more intense as Wilson starts going after you mano-a-mano. This was a lot trickier because it's hard to tell what to do, and even then I'm still not entirely sure what to do. He'll run at you and then try to punch you with his big hands, so you gotta sprint out of the way. Getting flow back helps to boost it, though the recharge can be tricky. And if he gets you, hits like a truck, taking a lot of damage, and legit had max health on easy mode. I think when he's stuck after a pound you can hurt him, but I wasn't even sure if I was hurting him at all. And he'll swing his anchor around, and I generally don't know how to avoid damage here. I don't know if I did something wrong. I accept the responsibility. After though, he falls back, allowing you to get your pipe and bash Wilson's head in his rainbow intestines enough times. Do this 3 times and he's down. Now on the one hand, I do appreciate the fight. I hope it's an actual fight like the first game, but it does feel kind of underwhelming as a final fight. Maybe by it's like a build up, but I kind of wish I had another phase where it utilizes more of what you've learned. I liked how it combined so much of that already, but I don't know, I still wish I did more of that to feel like a culmination of our journey and skills, since the game's kind of all about that. Also, it can be annoying since if you die, it's game over. No instant respawn, you gotta do the entire thing again and then relearn what you did. Honestly, it kind of felt more like a chapter boss than a final one. Though still, we banish Winston, but the monster isn't done, as it grabs us and then bites our legs off. Jesus Christ, I'm not kidding, bites them straight off. Going for the kill until we're saved by the Ink Demon, and with its power and agility, freaking rips out the monster's throat like a wolf to kill it and then drags it away to the depths. This game got like super gory and gruesome out of nowhere. Waking up, we still see we're completely legless and trapped as the Ink Demon confronts us with its essence everywhere. No hiding anymore. Haunts us and saying there's no escape. End of the line. Tells us to join it in the dark puddles in inky hell. We have nothing. No hope, no purpose, and no life. An inky abomination of life, just like him. It says it will make her strong and with a purpose. It offers a hand as we're forced to take it. Consumed by the ink, we become one. Now, in the new Ink Demon Beast body, Audrey's consciousness rises as Joey appears. He knows we're in there as an Ink Demon refuses. We try to call out as he tries to help us, inspire us, motivate us to defy the demon's will. It grabs him, crushing him up as he cries for Audrey to fight back and resist to become herself again, even bringing a secret weapon, the last reel. Before... Oh god, he's dead. He's dead. Again. Wait, isn't he a ghost? Again, this game's getting really brutal by the end. However, Audrey in anger defies the demon's will and takes control of their body, picking out the reel and forcing itself to complete the cycle again. And yes, we can control Giant Beast Bendy. And it's awesome. Like seriously, this kicks ass. It's so big and powerful as legions of lost ones appear to fight us, but we just smash and plow through them like nothing. It's so damn awesome. And we just rampage past. It's so fun and satisfying. It's like the ending of Shadow of the Colossus, but bigger. I am distracted by his detailed muscly ass though. Honestly, this works so much better for Beast Bendy than the final boss of the last game. It's so good. We continue on the rampage. It's so cathartic after so long, but reach a clearing where we're seemingly trapped. An unstoppable ink behemoth. I doubt it. What are these little douchebags gonna do? Ink demons all give up. You can't win. But then Allison with the Tommy gun arrives to clear the way. Hell yeah. And with Tom riding on Big Steve. This is amazing. Also, I didn't realize it, but Porter showed up here for a second for some reason. God damn it. Is his name a pun on teleporter? I can't believe it. And even Sammy pops up. It's awesome. Oh, wait. Allison shot him. Oh, well, I'll come back the next cycle anyway. Also Wilhelm. We fight our way through the chambers, and the music's really good, like really. With another dead end, and yes, Henry! Oh man, everyone is here, it's awesome. It feels so much like a cavalry moment, it's so cool. We found a projector and allows us to pass again. The demon fights for control as Audrey tries to reset the cycle. The giant room prepared with the end slide. As we pick up the projector, which is implied to be the projectionist decapitated head from the first game, ironic. As we project it straight into the Ink Demon's eyes. or wherever it is, and everything is white as the cycle continues. I love that part so much. Before the ending, I should get into the actual chapter more and my thoughts. I do really like it for the most part. I like the atmosphere of the retreat being so different than the studio grounds we're used to. I enjoyed the Alice stuff, and I'm glad they included it. It's nice to see her again and a new stuff, and her boss was fun and a great change of pace, like it's something you wanted from the original. But admittedly, it didn't tie in too much with the actual chapter aside from giving an excuse of being in the North Wing. I did really enjoy the stealth section. It was high tension and genuinely frightening at times, and I felt it was a good culmination of the mechanic introduced and test the player with it. Just kinda wish it wasn't quite as jank, but still good. I just kinda wish there was more narrative cohesion, as it does feel like none of this really mattered in the plot. This kind of happened aside from reintroducing Allison, setting up the uprising at the end. Not as bad as the original, but still. The final fight was fun, and again I enjoy how it was a fight like the first game, but it did feel underwhelming as an actual end boss. As I said, it felt more like a chapter boss than a final boss, and it needed more build up and incorporate more mechanics. And I felt the first game had better bosses than this one. Final part though, that was fun as hell for the huge power trip as the beast Bendy. Seeing everyone come together to help and stop them was awesome. I loved it. But as the lights come on, we see the real world as Joey's house is in ruins looking like Portal 2, with Audrey narrating the words of her father.
That just because we're born of darkness doesn't mean we belong to it. We're always free to choose.
Opening the door back to the real studio, holding Joey's copy of the Illusion of Living book he gave her. Now saying that she has control over the ink world and now able to manipulate it, saying that she's going to make it a better place. But ominously so that she's still a cartoon human, and says Joey's world is escaping to ours. And even brought in Bendy to the real world too somehow. What's going on? As we end.
So, what's next? Who can really say?
Now, I'll get to the ending in a bit, but we also got the credits. Like before, they're all illustrated and hand-drawn, and again, God, they look gorgeous. I love it. I love the composition, the contrast, and the art style. They're so awesome. But we're not entirely done, as this brought back the archives too. I love it. I loved it in the first game, and I love it here. I do wish it had that museum like the others had, but it's still good here. Here, we get to see the models up close and in high def, and the notes give an insight on all the development and creation that went through these characters. Even giving us some interesting lore, like acknowledging whether or not Betty knew we were going to be sacrificed, acknowledging this game seems to take place during Dark Survival, alluding that Sammy's weird teleportation in the first game could be him using the flow ability, and Wilson looks that way because going back and forth from the ink world physically deteriorated his body somehow. I guess he is really supposed to be younger, he just got turned to this thing. But you can read with Big Steve that he was planned to be a free roaming enemy that was scrapped as the hunting Bendy would fit the same niche. Yeah, that really was a mistake. But yeah, with everything else, let's go figure out what the hell was that ending. With the first game's ending, I remember everyone being confused by it, but I found everything to make sense. It revealed the whole game was fictional, the story Joey was making to atone for his mistakes in real life. This corrupt empire told us a story of Henry fighting through the animated terrors and twisted victims of the world he created, and physically putting a stop to the demon that haunted them. I found so much of the meaning and symbolism so great and emotional, and made everything feel so much more poignant. And I was afraid of how Dark Revival would change that, and it really did, but also kinda didn't. So I can't even tell if any of this is real in the first place. It might not even be, especially since the ending of the first game, Henry's presumable kid asked Joey for another story.
Tell me another one, Uncle Joey.
But would seem this entire thing was fictional, or maybe this was fictional too, I can't tell. We do know it's confirmed the world is in fact fictional, it's brought up and clarified. I still almost want to believe it's a story with Audrey holding the book with the characters' illustrations as if that correlates to them. But here it's treated like an entirely different dimension of art brought by Joey's art in the ink machine, which seems to be a real genuine thing someone made by the Gen Corporation, shown to be much more insidious. Even at the end showing that they've reclaimed the machine for themselves. Oh, it's confirmed that the Henry we play as isn't the real Henry, as he's a creation of Joey. The game does fully show that real people can get put in this cycle. Even apparently Wilson, as he was fully inkified and got his soul trapped there. Though it seems there is a way to get in and out, even if it takes a toll, and Audrey, at least outside, can influence the world inside by her hand. So yeah, it really is Chalk Zone, who would have guessed. However, even then the lore gets even more confusing, as it shows Audrey is still an inhuman in the real world, and was somehow made from the machine, and even more being able to manifest Bendy himself in the real world, telling that Joey's creations are seeping into the real world. Wait a minute, this really is Chalk Zone. And that's not even all, as there's a secret ending, legit if you don't do anything in the start of the game. You get an early ending where Audrey continues her work and never goes in the cycle. And another if you collect all the Illusion of Living books scattered through the game, you just wake up in a padded cell flopping around. What the hell does this mean? Is this implying it was all in her head? Or did he go to an asylum trying to tell people the cartoon world? I'm pretty sure this isn't canon, so we can just disregard this. Also, I genuinely thought there was another ending if you got all the memories hidden around the game. Especially the ending. You get your legs bitten off and the ink demon just confronts you telling you have no past and purpose. Like I seriously thought we would remember stuff and be like, no, I do have a life, you're wrong. She gains shonen protagonist powers and kills Bendy in a sense to rewrite the cycle or something. But no, that's it. This is literally the only ending. Getting the memories just gives you an achievement. Seriously, I was shocked. I was sure this was going to be a good and bad ending thing, but apparently it wasn't, huh? But yeah, things are still vague and confusing, like how much of this was even real after the first game, how Audrey exists in the first place, how people can go in and out of the fictional world, and especially how ink people can apparently come to our reality, not to mention the smaller mysteries of the characters and world brought up throughout. For many, they don't understand the endings to these games and don't like them, but me? I kinda don't mind not getting an answer. Like, really. This franchise doesn't like to give out solid explanations often, and most of its narrative feels more symbolic and metaphorical as a journey than a concrete objective narrative. It even has pieces like that in the narrative, calling to question the validity and logic of the world, acknowledging it's a world that doesn't make sense, just in the ideas of a man that may or may not even be real in the first place. The whole game is about art and the power of creation, imagination brought to life, balancing humanity and inherent darkness in people and the world. And fittingly enough, the game is kind of like a work of art. It doesn't tell you what it means. You have to look at it and make your own thoughts of what it's supposed to say. It's up to you to interpret of what it all means, if it even has a meaning in the first place. You get out of it what you think you got out of it. It's completely open-ended. Like all art, it's subjective, and each person comes out with their own ideas. So in a weird way, I'm fine with it. I don't even think the game world works with a solid concrete ending and meaning. It's about the journey, not really the destination. So I actually like not getting an answer. It might not be as great as what I got out of the first game with its incredible symbolic and poignant message, but I still came out fascinated by what it all means and the possibilities of this world. Who knows that this might get elaborated and expanded, but for once, having a solid answer actually works for me. But to the game. Now to the whole thing, and man, I have really had a hard time trying to finalize my thoughts on it, and it's one of the hardest endings I've had to conclude on this channel. The first game, I had no problems with praising it and talking about how I love it, even if I acknowledge its problems. But Dark Revival feels like it exemplifies the best and worst of Bendy the Ink Machine in a weird way. The biggest thing about it is that Bendy has a tendency to implement too many things at once, even if they're contradictory. The first game kind of had that problem where it felt like you constantly did different things, but at least the chapters mostly handled them well with a unifying objective with each of them, with only chapter 5 really feeling like it's forcing you to do too much stuff that's disconnected because it's cool. This game has a lot of the same problems, but namely the main issue. The roaming Bendy is genuinely awful. I know the game wants to make you feel constantly uneasy and paranoid to add to the horror, but it's cheap, unearned horror that doesn't fit into the game. The game wants you to go through its huge overworld, solving puzzles and finding secrets in its massive connected overworld. It even emphasizes slow stealth as the enemies respawn. It wants you to sit, sneak, and wait to KO them without swarming and damaging you. You can't do that when at any time the game just forces you to panic and quickly run to the nearest hiding space that might not even be feasible when you're trying to do other shit it wants you to do. Like literally, I've shown it. It shows up at the worst possible times during the combat encounters you're trying to focus on and blocking the nearest hiding spot, and even in spots where you're just trying to solve the damn puzzles. It's not even scary at that point, it just pisses you off. It's an unneeded distraction and frustrating mechanic when you're trying to do what the game wants. The rest of the game fundamentally does not support this mechanic. It's forced where it clearly cannot work. You can have slow and methodological puzzles at any time being, holy you're gonna die, hide, actually ruins the game. It stops becoming scary. It just pisses you off eventually. I didn't even run into him that much and it ruined so much of the experience, I can't imagine it on normal or harder difficulty. It's pure forced bullshit. I've seen other people complain that it ruins the game and get pissed off at it, and I fully agree it's not implemented well at all and it ruins so much of it. Chapter 3 worked because the chapter was dedicated and built around it. They didn't shove that shit into the rest of the game because it clearly didn't work and they failed here. There's so many good parts of this game buried under such a horribly implemented mechanic that I genuinely had to advocate for anyone who wants to play it, just remove it. There is a mod called Smooth Bendy. It's supposed to help smoothing up the graphics and controls, but I never had a problem with those. But it has a feature where you can lower aggression of Bendy and just flat out disable him. And honestly, I fully recommend you install it if you want to play. Maybe try it first, and if you get fed up with it, disable it, but really just have that option, it helps so much. I would never recommend you play a base game with a mod installed, but this is one of the cases I say it genuinely fixes the issue. This could have been implemented so much better. I hate to do the coulda, shoulda, woulda bull complaint. It's one of my biggest problems with the first game's critiques that just ask for a completely different game and treat that as fair criticism. But I'm invoking the actual implemented mechanic they added, how it could have been handled better. Because the first time, they did it perfectly. Make dedicated Bendy areas. Just like the art studio have multiple parts of every chapter dedicated to Bendy being pure aggro and to search around and make an escape while he's active. Don't make the player have to do everything else the game offers while being distracted by an unfair game over at any second. Make sections just for this. Emphasize the terror and suspense of the area, where any second you're out in the open, you can die while having to complete dedicated tasks. No other bullshit in puzzles, exploration, and combat the focus on the same time. Just you and the demon having to get the hell out of there. They proved it can work the first time they did it. They showed us many more instances. It would have worked infinitely better. Chapter 3 made me terrified. This just got me mad. Even then I still had other problems, namely also the jump scare Jimmy bullshit that was the cheapest jump scares possible. The game doesn't warn you about at all. That fundamentally ruins so much of the experience. One of the worst implementations I've seen. Combined with the ink demon appearances, it's completely unearned horror. Projectionist in the first game still terrifies me because of the atmosphere, environment, and legitimate fear and paranoia being stuck in a dark maze with a monster. That horror and fear was earned. These are just trying to startle and panic the player at every chance. It's basically going boo, boo, and it's awful. I'm a genuine complete coward, and in the end, these weren't scary, they just pissed me off. And I literally nearly quit after chapter 2 because I was so damn sick of it. And even then, I feel in other aspects, the game kind of falls apart. Like, when the Butcher Gang aren't stronger enemies, they just kind of just jump scare you. And that sucks. Like, I feel we really need more enemies than just lost ones all the time. But as I said, this game tends to implement too much, but rarely ever goes all the way through and connect it. The narrative is still pretty disjointed, with a lot of the stuff not having a lot of cohesion and reasoning to string them along. And some stuff did have the development I feel they should have had. Chapter 3 of this game had a good start, but has nothing else going for it, feeling almost like filler, and the Lord of Muck stuff led to nothing. And even Chapter 5 randomly had Alice appear for pretty much no reason, though it was enjoyable. Kinda makes me wish she was in that chapter to give it more depth, not have her randomly interrupt 5. But also like the other games, it doesn't really do too much development of what it does have. You meet a lot more characters in this game, even some allies, but you rarely ever get to know more about them despite the game treating it like you should. The characters like Porter and Heidi only show up once, with little story or relevance and never again. Even other characters like Betty and even Allison and Tom, some of the most important characters just like the first game, but we never get more of them, for interactions and story purpose when they're some of the most interesting characters in the game. The game wants you to be like Solo, but it keeps making characters you want to see have more relevance in appearances, so they really never end up having any. It's especially bad after the original Chapter 5. I wish I had most of the chapter with them instead of being separated constantly. And this game does practically the same, but makes them a bit more relevant. It's really a shame. I felt like the game tried to pull itself all over and tried to do so much. Just ended up feeling a lot like it's crushed under its own weight. But the game still has so much going for it. I loved so much how it evolved the franchise in so many ways. Graphically, this game is amazing. The use of lighting, color, shading, and atmosphere feels downright magical. It's the best part of the game and makes one of the most beautiful, immersive, aesthetically pleasing games I've played. You feel so wrapped into the world, it makes it unlike anything else. A true work of art in the eyes of an artist I can never get enough of. Just playing through the game and seeing the expansions of the world and aesthetics so much more past what was already in the first game. Sometimes it can even rival the visuals of a AAA game. Honestly, it looks that good. I'm glad I played this game for this alone. It felt so magical. So often, truly, I was like in another world like no other. It's one of the biggest reasons I love this franchise. Even the music I loved, and it feels underrated. This franchise has such great orchestral, somber, and atmospheric music. It deserves so much more love. And how it evolved the game mechanically deserves so much more praise. I greatly enjoyed the mechanics in the first game, and said it did a surprising lot for a survival horror. The Dark Revival adds so much, it doesn't really feel like that anymore. As I said, it felt very Bioshock-like with its gameplay, combat, movement options, progression, and puzzle use, just stuck using the wrench. But again, it adds so much to that, making it so much of a greater experience. Much bigger, open-ended, connected areas, filled to the brim with secrets to find and unlock. Customizable player paths to upgrade your character to how you see fit, and find schematics and material to upgrade your weaponry, all completely optional and allowing the player to make their own paths, making reasons for new playthroughs and finding all the secrets. The new mechanic and movement options like the cool new flow ability, making new options in battle, puzzle solving, and there's all-around movement not seen before, and it's so cool and intuitive, feels more than a survival horror. Even the puzzles and methods were much more advanced in the first game, having more difficult and brain-teasing problems, which I really enjoyed for the most part. It truly felt like the series was evolving and getting more complex and ambitious. I loved it, coming with the expanded world and mechanics. And also that ending was so much fun, and getting all the characters together, god, I'm not over it. It was so good, but especially the new lore and characters it added. I love Audrey and her character journey through the game. As much as I like Henry, he didn't really have a journey, but Audrey did. With the new ideas it presented, like with Joey's memory, or Bendy and the Ink Demon existing at the same time, like a dark parallel, even the new expanded world going past the studio, and how Wilson is twisting the world to his own whims. It's nice to get more substantial lore, even if it does get kind of confusing, but I greatly enjoyed how it expanded the world and universe, giving it so much depth and focus and making it more intriguing, even downright thought-provoking and introspective on the matter of art and creation, imagination and humanity. It's actually fascinating and perfect for a game about art and animation. When the game focused on the new stuff, the new intriguing stuff, I loved it. Still though, wish it had Bendy Land. I freaking love that area. Love chapters 1 and 4, even 5 what it presented. It just got me hooked on the game, but I had to pair with the frustrating tedium or just underwhelming parts of 2 and 3. I am glad I kept going because I did enjoy so much about this game. It has so many good things, how it feels like a better version of the first game, more ambitious and well developed, and detailed in virtually every aspect. It's fascinating, but yet it's also weighed down by itself, so odd by its more frustrating mechanics, and I handle a lot of its pacing and narrative. I genuinely don't know how to judge it. As I said, it's like the best and worst of Bendy at the same time. It's truly a mixed bag, but at the end of the day, I am very glad I played it. I'm glad I got another dive into the studio I love and want to explore more and get immersed in once again. I'm reminded of why I love this franchise so much, and getting to see it expand and evolve in new ways I never thought before. Even if it was frustrating at times, and I won't pretend it's perfect, I came out pretty happy with my experience. It's hard to recommend it to everyone, but even then I don't know how much my criticism is valid. Maybe you love the survival horror aspects and love the concept threat of Bendy appearing and wish they did it even more. I can't really say that's not valid too. Maybe it should have gone more, I don't know. But in my case, if you do want to play, just really install the mod, it helps a ton. Unlike the first game where I genuinely loved and wanted people to play it, I do want to say try it if you really want to, if anything I said intrigues you. This game totally has a ton of great attributes I recommend. But if you are a Bendy fan and like the first game, I do genuinely say go for it. I still think the world it presents is so cool and enveloping, and I loved it so much, and playing I genuinely want to see more games that are this cartoony and stylized, like seriously. Sometimes I want to see this but done in a different direction, and there are some examples. I mean, there's the most famous, Cuphead, which is fantastic and iconic and goes without explaining. While that's great, you don't really like get to explore the world and walk around it too much, so it doesn't really count. Also, stop comparing this game to Bendy. Like, yeah, they're based off cartoons broadly, but they're in completely different eras, on completely different studios with completely different gameplay. It's like comparing Legend of Zelda with Fire Emblem because they're both fantasy games. It doesn't make sense. Technically, in the same vein, there's Toyland Tussle, which is basically someone making their own original Cuphead boss fight. And there's also this upcoming FPS game, Mouse PI for Hire, which is a first-person Doom clone done in a cartoon world. It looks so damn cool. Like, seriously, I am so hyped for it. Looks amazing. I can't wait. You should support it if you haven't. Oh yeah, I also gotta mention this really old one I found, Felicia and Cherry in the Crazy Hotel. Predates Bendy and Cuphead in 2013. This was a top-down, point-and-click like adventure puzzle solver in a rubber hose world. We can use cartoon physics to solve puzzles and obstacles, and it's really cool. Unfortunately, it seems that I didn't get the support it needed at the time and was cancelled, and I couldn't even find their page anymore. And like god, I feel the modern community would love something like it. Like Bendy and Cuphead's success proved there's still a market for this and could have predated all of them. There seems to be some demos that released of it, but I can't find them since the page is gone now. Can I please start a lost media hunt for this, or I'll even start some revival campaign? I really think this project doesn't deserve to die, please help me. But even then, there's stuff from the franchise itself. Forest in the Dark Survival is another game that looks cool, I can check it out. Especially with the expansions including, yes, Bendy Land! And also a third game whenever that's gonna come out, but we have basically nothing so far. I'm not gonna promise I'll cover it, we'll see how that goes. Even the much more obscure secrets of the Machine game. Maybe next year, but no promises. Also, of course, the huge announcement of the movie still in production. Seriously, I can't wait for that. I promise I'm gonna see it day one and make a video on it when it inevitably comes out. I think Bendy can work so well for a movie. I love this franchise to death for its endless creativity, fun, charm, and appeal that not many other games have given me. A world of art and horror in the same vein, making one of the most atmospheric games I've played, calling back to another of my favorites. Revival in my playthrough had insane ups and insane downs, but it still gave me that Bendy love I keep in my heart and continued to ignite my passion for the series. I don't like it as much as the first game, but in the end I am really glad I finally spent the time to play through it again and got to get even more invested in this franchise I absolutely love. And if you want to try it out for yourself, honestly go for it, especially if you're a Bendy fan. I do think it's a must play in that case. The marketing really screwed this game over for its attention, and even if it had its problems, I feel it really should get more attention and credit, not only just as a Bendy sequel, but for all the good things it added and improved the franchise in a way. I think it deserves at least another chance. But yeah, thanks Dark Revival, but it's time for this reel to come to an end too. Well, that's another Halloween done. Stressful as ever to get these videos done on time. But hey, at least it's all over now. I can calm down and... Oh, come on, even my video? You can't be serious. There's no hiding space there.
Here comes the boy. Hello, boy. Welcome.
Running away, eh? You yellow bastard! Come back here and take what's coming to you! I'll bite your legs off!
My name is Mr. Wilson, and I'm here to say I'm gonna smack your ass in a major way. What are you doing in my basement? Get out of here! Get out of here!